how does a P manager add value or create value, right? You did talk about that, but we've heard you say that Samara has a CEO bench. You try to ensure that one of the use cases you spoke about is when they run out of ideas, right? When a business reaches its potential through whatever the business or the promoters would have imagined at their scale, and you come in and you can actually identify a much larger footprint, both through either through professionalism or through providing strategic capital, which is required at that stage. So maybe you want to highlight how exactly does Samara add value for the transactions?
Sure. So I had outlined the 4 sectors that we invest in. Each of these sectors are very brand and services oriented, where India has seen enough professional talent that is available. And if the business wants to really scale up, they have to onboard professionals. Now, that is where some of the founders falter, where they are not able to institutionalize and professionalize the business. So for us, when we buy a business, there are multiple levers at play. First is the leadership itself. We would assess whether the people who are coming on board as management team, are they capable to add value and take the business to the next level, which is what our endeavor is. If not, then we have created, and in all humility, I can say that it's not a CEO bench, it's more about CEOs who are willing to work with us. And these are people who are available across the 4 sectors that we have invested into. We call them entrepreneurs in residence once they are onboarded as a part of running a business that we have acquired. And now these entrepreneur in residence are people who come with a lot of domain expert in that industry. They may be coming from multinational background or running for a business family, but they always wanted to have some sort of an entrepreneurial mind of their own, wanted to do a business where they can run, which they can call that they have done the transformation. So I think that is one important element, that people, CEOs, CXOs that we onboard, which is the team building, so that we are ready for the next 5 year of growth journey. The second element is in terms of systems and processes that we set, because ultimately it's the institution that will survive. It is never one man or people. So from an institution standpoint, we have operating partners sitting in Samara Capital who would do a tech-led transformation of the business, so that business can do automation, business can have the right systems and processes, which would make it far more scalable. And lastly, it is about business development, for which we have industry advisors. The CEO, CXOs we onboard, we would look for those specific aspects where we want to grow and scale the business. We want them to have that experience behind them, transformative assignments that they have demonstrated. So I think all these things become important, and it's a team effort where first the investing partner has figured out the right deal at the right valuation, which can scale up. Then it is the operating team that comes into play, which adds value in terms of getting the right people onboarded, the right system processes, and then eventually collectively take the exit decision.
Great. Sharad, I heard you say earlier in the day that some promoters, some founders actually seek you out, right? They say that we would like to work with an ICICI venture. So does the broader ecosystem of ICICI actually play a very important role, and what levers do you use from there? And also, what is your secret sauce? How do you help promoters?
So from a value add perspective, I'll say that our work actually starts when we are diligencing the company. During diligences, a lot of things will come out in terms of your business strategy, in terms of your corporate governance, in terms of your team gaps, and so on. One of the key things that is more important for us is, pre-investment, there's a lot of alignment discussion that happens between us and the company on what are the factors that we actually want to focus over the next few years. Whether we are on a branding strategy, channel strategy, or whether we are looking at capital allocation, whether we are looking at the team hiring, organization structure, and so on. Once we have aligned those points, and that is sort of a rigorous discussion that happens over 2 to 3 weeks, because it's also changing the mindset of the founders, changing the mindset of the family which is operating the business. We actually become very active once we have aligned on those things, and once we invest, a lot of these things starts getting to the execution mode. People hiring, team hiring, building a level 2, building a proper professional professional team, and also delegation of the power to the professional team. That is a bit of a challenging thing, because most of the early stage companies or most of the growth oriented companies are family oriented. So getting the delegation of the power is not so easy.
Can you tell us how you did this in Cello, how you could help 3 diverse businesses come together, cleaning up the cap table or ownership structures?
So each of this, when we come across each of the family-oriented businesses are going to give you a different set of challenges, when the professional-oriented companies are going to give you a different set of challenges. Family-oriented companies will, obviously, it will be controlled by, few sets of families who are looking at different functions. Obviously, they are very good in the business, they are very good, but overall, when it comes to the governance part of it, when it comes to building the level 2 team part of it, you have to basically work through them. And it's a journey that you take 6 to 12 months for, to have somebody who can independently manage the business development function, which the family itself is doing for long. So that transition phase has to be delicately managed, and something that we work very closely with. In terms of professional companies, they are very good in one part, whether it's a technology part or whether in business development part. But on the other sets of the businesses, whether it's corporate governance, whether it's processes, people, they will be lacking a lot. So those are the things that we identify very well in future, and those are the things we start executing. For us, once the capital is given, first 6 to 12 months are quite intense working with the company, because that's where you basically do a lot of those changes, and then you see those results coming in second and third year. So this is how we work with the companies. The alignment has to be sort of agreed pre-investment, and this is then you become much more effective when you post-investment, when you're trying to execute those changes.
Thank you. And in terms of value creation for you, Dr. Ray, I think you have a very, very interesting advisory board, people who are technocrats, innovators in their own right, the likes of Mr. Mashelkar. What role do they bring in, and how do you leverage their expertise?
You're quite right. Our advisory board they're like walking, talking encyclopedias. We have Dr. Mashelkar, who was former Secretary, Science and Technology. We have Malav Dani, who's from the Asian Paints family, a Six Sigma black belt in his own right. We have Tarun Mehta of Aether Energy, who brings us the startup side of the experience. Shiladitya Sen Gupta, who is a professor of medicine at Harvard. And then we have Amay Mashelkar, who works with Reliance in their accelerator. Yeah. So if we look at that profile, there are 3 broad things that we do for all the companies, either before we invest, much like Mr. Malpani said, take them through a journey to try to align them, or after we have invested, to ease them into the path of growth and value creation. The first bit is focus their go-to-market. Typically, a lot of these companies they may have a market strategy at a broad segment level, but often they don't have a market strategy clearly linked to pricing, clearly linked to movement of raw materials, clearly moved to their supply chain strategies. We tend to align that first. Without that, everything is dead in the water. The second is the right to operate, the regulatory environment, both in the current market and the foreseeable market. Because sometimes people come to us with a product that looks great, but we can foresee regulatory changes that will either be a huge opportunity or a huge threat. And the third part is what I call innovation productivity. Ultimately, just as we heard, to enter something at the right valuation is important. But even after entering at the right valuation, if we cannot make sure that the cash burn, is at a pace where you're going to get the outcome equal to or faster than promised, you cannot deliver the returns. So we work very hard on aspects of cash burn, not controlling costs, but improving the outcome per unit cost. So, without taking a specific name, one of the assets that we worked on, which when we took them over was very promising business, growing quite well. We've handheld them through some of the aspects of productivity in innovation. and they have just recently turned profit about a year before their forecast. So, to those are tangible value adds.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great perspective.